welcome back to today's fourth session scheduled under the banner of 13th Eastern Himalaya Naturenomics Forum, organized by the Balipara Foundation alongside the Assam Royal Global University. We now begin the next round of sessions for the day. Our next conversation focuses on a theme at the heart of ecological transition: designing a regenerative future from the extraction to restoration. A dialogue that moves us from merely sustaining to truly renewing the landscapes, communities, and systems we depend on. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panel of speakers. At the very outset, may I invite Madam Anuja Nair, Food Science and Technology Studies, College of Natural Resources, Royal University of Bhutan, to kindly take seat on the dais. Anuja Nair is a lecturer in the Department of Food Science and Technology at the College of Natural Resources, Royal University of Bhutan, Lobesa, Punakha. She researches chemical composition, microbial quality of traditional Bhutanese foods like dachi cheese, and discourses on climate change in the Bhutan Himalayas, contributing to sustainable food systems and environmental studies. I now invite Mr. Abhijit Singh, Head of Operations, Rajasthan Royals, to kindly take seat on the dais. Mr. Abhijit Singh is the Head of Operations at the Rajasthan Royals, an IPL franchise overseeing stadium operations, commercial streams like sponsorship, licensing, merchandising, ticketing, and general business functions. An IIM Lucknow alumnus, he progressed from Chief of Staff within the organization, bringing consulting experience and strategic oversight to IPL match logistics. Welcome, sir. I now request Mr. Neetu Kumar Kolita, Executive Operation Officer, Assam Investment Advisory Society, to kindly take seat. Mr. Neetu Kumar Kolita is Executive Operating Officer at the Assam Investment Advisory Society, leading initiatives in NGO operations, education, women empowerment, livelihoods, and sustainability across Northeast India. I now request Ms. Namge Dengdup, Nature-Based Solution Specialist, Bhutan Ecological Society, to kindly take seat on the dais. Mr. Namge Dengdup brings over 20 years of experience at the intersection of conservation, community well-being, and sustainable tourism. Sir holds an MBA in IT in Business Management from the University of Mysore, an advanced diploma in marketing from the College of Western Australia, and a gold medal winning PG diploma in wildlife management and eco-development from the Wildlife Institute of India. And steering this important conversation, our moderator for the session, Ms. Reva Malhotra, Communication Consultant. Reva is a communication consultant with over a decade of experience with work lies at the intersection of creative narratives and strategic storytelling. Reva loves to develop communication and marketing strategies with rollout plans based on data-driven insights, presenting new opportunities for founders and organizations to grow in GCC and India. Welcome to the forum, and the floor is all yours, Ms. Reva Malhotra, to take it forward.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. It is fitting that we are having this conversation here in the Eastern Himalayas, one of the world's most ecologically rich regions and also the most vulnerable. These landscapes support forests, rivers, food systems, culture, and the livelihoods for millions of people. Yet, they are increasingly shaped by climate pressure, biodiversity loss, and developmental pathways that extract more than what they restore. Today's session is about rethinking that model. When we talk about regeneration, we are not speaking only about conservation. We are talking about redesigning development itself, about treating forest, river, soil, and biodiversity corridors as foundational assets for community prosperity, climate resilience, and long-term security. What makes this conversation powerful is the diversity of perspectives that we have on stage today. from conservation science to food systems, indigenous knowledge, sports, youth engagement, and regional investment, forest fringe education as well. Regeneration has become possible only when all of these systems move together. So I would like to start the discussion with a simple question as to what does regeneration mean to each one of you coming from different fields. How has it shaped your life experiences, the professions you chose, and how do you want to relay such messages forward to the youth that's present in the audience today?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Balipara, for inviting me, and it's my honor to share this forum with the distinguished speaker. As an academic and with a background in food science, regeneration means basically 5 things for me. So food science basically deals with the end product, but the end product, the food that we should be healthy. And if you have to produce healthy food, it starts with the raw material. So first thing is, it's very important to have a very good and nutritious raw material. So when you are talking about the raw material, we also talk about where it is grown, what is the soil health. So if you want to produce a healthy and nutritious food, then we have to focus on those raw material that supports the soil growth, biodiversity conservation, and also reduce the chemical load on the value chain. The second thing that I really look into as a food science and food technologies is the use of technologies for producing food. It should be efficient, and it should the technology or the processing method should produce should have a very minimal or a very zero water footprint or the carbon footprint. We should also focus on reducing food waste and food losses. Third, I think it's very important to support the indigenous knowledge in terms of food production. As you can see, the indigenous knowledge plays a huge role, and in terms of food culture, it also has a huge role in terms of producing a very nutritious food. So it's very important to revive those and preserve those traditional knowledge, indigenous knowledge. And fourth, and the final thing I think is very important, we support our local economies through enterprises, youth or women-led enterprises or small agro-enterprises that produces value-added products or produces nutritious and healthy food. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank Balipara Foundation for extending invitation to our office. And I do not know how I may be able to justice to this regeneration topic, because I myself is quite exhausted, because I travel and study 16 hours by road, and then I have slept only for 4 hours, and I have to stay to come here. So anyway, I came as a substitute because actually my executive director is supposed to come here, but he told me that just I have to do some presentation only, and there won't be any sort of plenary like that. But when I was traveling yesterday, I think Ms. Karishma sent me the permit, so I was quite worried. But I didn't look it because I was driving. So, but anyway, I'll try to relate to whatever I have done. So, our topic today is on extraction versus restoration or regeneration. So at the outset, we have to understand what is extraction. So extraction, there could be a lot of definition, but according to the definition which I normally believe, it just focuses on separate parts. Whereas the restoration or regeneration, it just focuses on whole parts. And whereby in extraction, the competition is automatically created due to the focus so much on the things, whereas on the regeneration, restoration, we value the system as well as there is well-being being implemented. because in Bhutan, like GN is gross national happiness is very much emphasized. So that philosophy is being emphasized in the regeneration. And then I should say that extraction is basically dead, or it is like not uh, not not up to mark. Whereas the regeneration is alive, it's adaptable, and then it's climate resilient, and it's also like it is an ongoing process. So in that line, what our Bhutan Ecological Society, where I work as an nature-based solution specialist, so there are a lot of forests being depleted in Bhutan due to forest fire, and then there are a lot of harvest of timbers. So we try to restore that one, because if you do not restore or regenerate, then I think we cannot maintain what we are call as a carbon negative country. And at the same time, we are also doing a lot on trapping the methane gas of the commercial biogas. The commercial waste is being dumped at the outskirts of Thimbu. So we are trying to commercialize that one and tap all those waste into a methane gas and trying to produce methane gas. At the same time, we try to focus on rural gas also. And there are a lot of things which we try to do, so which I will relate afterwards. So with this, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Reba, and all my co-panelists. Thank you, Balipara Foundation, for giving us this opportunity to be a part of this mega panel. So regeneration, actually, from the point of view, we are working with the people whom we call like forest-friendly people, who have lived like for a long in the edge of the forest. So they have the knowledge, the traditional knowledge, and now we are feeling that that knowledge for the young generation, it's like reducing. So in my opinion, in my thinking, how we can take into that to the young generation and keep the traditional knowledge and the wisdom, and we applied them for like the newer generation for a green future. So it's my point of view, this is like a regeneration thing from Forest Friends School point of view. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Balipara Foundation and everyone who is here on a drowsy afternoon after lunch. I feel regeneration or restoration, if I have to explain in one line, is are you giving back more than what you're taking? In the previous panel, Alok from Rajasthan Royals mentioned about if we are leaving some place, did we leave it in a better condition than how we inherited it? So I would say that is restoration or regeneration. I will twist on a very famous quote from an American president, John F. Kennedy, and I'll twist it in this context, which is ask not ask not what nature can do for you, ask what you can do for nature. And it's the thing that our fellow panelists mentioned about Bhutan. Bhutan is one of the few countries which levies a sustainable development fee. So if you're a tourist and if you're planning to go to Bhutan, they will charge you a fee of about 1,000 rupees per day, which is basically fund that goes back into funding the sustainable development goals of Bhutan. So I feel Bhutan has been one of those countries which has led the way on sustainability, and there's a lot that we can learn from Bhutan, how they have adopted gross national happiness and how socio-economic development is at the very core of it.
Sure. So my next question would be to Namge. How does regenerative development look like in practice for regions as complex as the Eastern Himalayas? How do you work in tandem with nature to ensure that, the fruits of it are actually reaching on ground?
Yes, actually the regeneration principle, I believe we have been following that since time immemorial, but that principle as the wording has not been quoted, especially per se Bhutanese context. Because our people from time immemorial, the extraction policy was quite restricted. They were extracting whatever was needed. And so like over the course of especially from 1960s due to the development, there were a lot of filings due to, obviously our land have to be cleared for development purposes. So that somehow restricted the regeneration process, but somehow we did not find much difficulty in working with, because our community, we can empower them, and so we are trying to work from the bottom up. So we are trying to go to the field, and we are trying to go to the lowest administrative level and try to discuss with the community what is their need. And then we try to come up with all those listing, and then so we design the program, and then we take up higher up. And so it is not like putting the exotic species. So we are trying to work with the native species.
I'll bring in Anuja here. How can indigenous food systems help replenish water, soil, resources, things of that sort? Because nutrition is an important component of your work. So in your experience, how are indigenous species more beneficial when you talk about restoration efforts?
For a food system, like Namge sir already touched upon, we are usually generally, we are guided by GNH, Gross National Happiness, and whatever we do is embedded in on us, on the sustainability. So if you look into the food system, we have a lot of native plants and the crops that we protect. One interesting example I can give you is, like Namge sir already touched upon that, we go to the grassroots level to educate the people, to work with the communities. We don't work on the communities, we work with the communities. And one of the best example I came across was the recent, in one of the Dzongkhag, we call Dzongkhag as a district. They had in Samdup Dzongkhag, near to Guwahati, they had organized seed saving, seed fair. The title was Seed Fair. Basically, they encouraged the farmers from different sub-districts to bring the seed they have. So there they have the seed of native crops. So this is one way where we bring in the communities in the food system in preserving our the crops. And also apart from there, again, if I go back to the processing and the traditional food, we have I think it was lost somewhere in between, where we were more into the processed food suddenly, where I remember, we don't have the data, but then now we have a lot of those traditional food we call the kule, a buckwheat pancake. It was popular among the rural communities. Now it has become a very, what do you call, a Sikh product. It is very popular among the tourists. It's very healthy. So we bring in those products. And yes, another product that I really look into where we use this traditional food is dati, fermented cheese from the cow. It's very unique, and it has the microbiome culture, the microbiome or the starter culture that we have is not yet been studied. But this product is highly nutritious, good source of calcium. So this dasi is one of the basic ingredient in Bhutanese cuisine. In every household, you find dasi. Dasi is basically a cheese. But we don't add any processing, like additional food additives or colors. We don't add even preservative. We don't have salt. It's very, we have, I think, 1 week of shelf life. But in every household, in every meal, we get this. So this is how our diet, our food system is built in. But yes, having said that, there's cases where we also overcome by the processed food product, but still, I can proudly say that still traditional food system exists in our country. Thank you.
Interesting. I'll bring in Neetu over here. How do you see the participation of community, like in the case studies of maybe forest friend schools and communities in Assam, helping preserve the culture of the land and being more participative in restoration, regenerative efforts, and building it from there and not letting these traditions die out? It's a thought, but it takes a lot of effort to make it reality.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, with the community in our forest friend schools, So it's a basically community schools. The Forest Friends School is a community school. So the community schools will have to do some livelihood projects. Otherwise, it will not like sustainable. So one time, twice, thrice, they will get funds from other organization. But after that, what will they do? That is why, as a case study, we did some projects like how we can make that Forest Friends School self-sustainable. And we started some projects like income generating activities like fishery, farming, nursery making, all are like in traditional way. And all the villages surrounded in that area, so they come together and they do all the work, and whatever the income generated from the activities, so 20% of that income directly goes to the school management committee fund for the running expenses of school, and the other part goes to them as a livelihood expenses. So that community knowledge, when they comes to do the project in the school, then our children, our students, they can also learn like practically. Like what we are doing only the books education, only reading, writing and all, but in our Forest Friends School model, they are learning the things practically. They, in the morning, like for nursery, we had a project called Harmony Project. What we do in these projects, from the morning till the evening, we take out all the students to the nearby forest, and the knowledgeable person of that area, of the village, it is not from like some university degree holder or someone, it is from their own village only, the elderly person. So he or she took out all the students to the nearby forest, and he teach them like how to collect the seeds, what is the flowering and what is the fruiting time of this tree, and when the seeds to be collected, how the seeds to be germinated, and how it can be a plant and then can be a tree. So whole the botany thing from seed to tree, they can practically learn in our Forest Friends areas. And at the same time, they carries the traditional knowledge also from their village people. Same way, not only in the nursery, the fishery and other agricultural thing also, they can learn from the village people, the wisdom, the knowledge, traditional knowledge. And I think like by doing all these projects in Forest Friends areas, we can increase the traditional knowledge, and we can distributing the knowledge to the new generation for a greener future and greener education. Thank you.
I'll bring Abhijit in over here. So you talked about, making the, yeah, sure. Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to have the presence of Dr. Bibha Dhawan, Director General, TERI, India. Welcome to the forum, ma'am. I request you to kindly take the seat. Dr. Bibha Dhawan is the Director General of the Energy and Resources Institute, New Delhi, a position she has held since March 2021. Ma'am has had a long association with TERI since 1985 and served as the Vice Chancellor of TERI School of Advanced Studies. Dr. Dhawan is a distinguished scientist and a fellow of the National Academy of Sciences, India, holds advanced degrees in botany, plant biology from Delhi University, and has authored 6 books and over 50 scientific publications. Welcome to the forum and welcome to Assam Royal Global University, ma'am.
Thank you. Welcome, ma'am. I will bring in Abhijit over here in continuity to the discussion and then have you say a few words around the same. So, Abhijit, we've learned about Forest Friends Schools just now and how a younger community can learn a lot while experimenting and building a connect with what they're doing practically. Where do you see the role of sports over here in helping make that emotional connect with restoration efforts?
So I would say sports in modern day world is war minus shooting, where you have as much emotions, when you see India versus Pakistan in cricket, or you see England versus Australia in cricket, fans like would change their entire schedules to watch the game. So I would say sports is something that brings out the best and the worst of people, as like very few other things. And the very existence of sports is because of fans. And if you'll see in a lot of these sports, the fans are in the age group of about 15 to 34. So I'd say sports has a major opportunity, to create an actual change in consciousness, to create an actual change in sustainability. Unfortunately, sports has been a bit slow to lead the way in sustainability, and whatever interventions have happened so far have been more piecemeal and more ad hoc, more retrospective, while we need something that impacts the entire value chain. Alok was talking about how Rajasthan Royals have taken a few steps in this direction. 3 years back, we played a carbon neutral game, and I'll just add more color to what he said. One IPL game generates about 10,000 tons of CO2 emissions. So what we did was to offset that carbon footprint. 17,000 trees were planted. This was an initiative in collaboration with Schneider Electric. Every year we play a special game called the Pink Promise, which is a joint initiative with our principal sponsor Luminous, where for every 6 that is hit in the match, we light up 6 houses with solar electricity. So if you'll see, we are doing things, but they are not impacting the entire value chain. So it's important to do something and do something on a consistent basis rather than once in a year. So I would say sports has a big opportunity, to really make a difference here. As we talk further, I'll share more examples in terms of how other sports have, done their own bit in this direction.
Sure, I'll bring in Ms. Dhawan over here. What is your take on having the young minds be more engaged in redesigning sustainable models around development, which are sustainable but also economically agile and adaptable?
Thank you, and my apologies to come late. I was in Guwahati University, and there were some discussions planned with the Vice Chancellor in the afternoon over lunch, so my real apologies. Now coming to the point, and one is absolutely the whole idea, I suppose, of Balipara Foundation doing this conference in 4 different platforms with students is how do we ignite the young minds? Really speaking, if we look at this generation, they have already faced so much. They have faced COVID. 20 years back, we were talking of climate change as a threat, but today, what was predicted, the impact of climate change is uglier than what was even predicted. So this generation, really speaking, is suffering because of the deeds of my generation. Now, what they can do, and in fact, when you were mentioning about sports, and you mentioned about Rajasthan Royal and few others, one of the things is that there are huge playing grounds. They themselves can become more sustainable, the use of water, the use of grass, and there are alternatives available. Like, for example, I'll give you what we are working on. Water use efficiency is something which is very important. Let's also look at that the kind of manure that is used for raising grass. Can we simply go for nature-based solutions which are available? And I'll actually like to work with maybe Rajasthan Royal or one of them to say what difference it can bring to. And why it is important, because look at the cricket fans, the number which is there, and the moment they say if that can be done at this scale, can I do it also in my garden? Now, the entire Mission Life program of the Prime Minister is basically to convert this entire thing of climate change, sustainability as Jan Andolan. We all get impacted by climate change, but we all contribute to climate change. Now let's look at this generation. I'm sure, and especially students of this university, this being a private university, there will be many of you who will say, I have never traveled by public transport. they don't know their footprint. They'll say, one car, how does it matter? There are so many cars on the road. So what difference if I buy a metro ticket and that tells me this is what I have saved as carbon footprint by traveling so many kilometers by metro? It is something which perhaps I'll feel proud of. The other is, let's look at what is happening. We switch on the air conditioner. I don't think so we require when the temperatures are up to 30 degrees centigrade. We can tolerate with fan. But today, most of the time, rather today morning also when I was sitting over there, I thought I should have carried a shawl with me because the air conditioner was so low. Why should we do it that way? If I can tolerate, I should switch on the air conditioner only when that is required. And that's what children must understand. They also need to understand, because what is happening, and we talk of food wastage, which is in the landfills, it's almost 70% which is coming from the food. So somewhere sensitization that there are so many, even starvation that's happening today, do they have any right to waste food? So it's practically everything, right from the way they live, the way they consume, and then like, what are the price tags talking about today? When you go to buy anything, that only talks of money. How much will it cost? It's a 50% discount, 60% discount, and we get carried away buying something which we don't even require. Now, if there is also a tag which talks about what is the carbon footprint, and if also in schools and colleges we bring this, at the end of the month, write your carbon footprint. What have you consumed? Was it really necessary? What is the average? Are you above average or you're below average? Sensitization towards renewable energy, why it is important. It's not just money. It is, you are also talking of foreign exchange, because you are able to get solar energy. So don't discuss in terms of that, is rooftop solar, do I really need it? Because I will be spoiling my roof. I can enjoy that in summer and winter both, so why should I sacrifice that? That should not be the calculation. The calculation should be more on, ultimately, am I working towards sustainability or saving this planet? Otherwise, what is going to be the scenario like? And even these case studies we need to bring in. And I come from Delhi, and I was talking to someone a couple of days before, and in a way, she was just trying to justify. She said, no, air pollution was always there. I said, no, it was not to that an extent. So today what has happened, and where I'll say, even we all are irresponsible. After many years, this year Delhi government had permitted crackers during Diwali. And believe me, all of us behaved as if we are not going to get this chance today. There were so many crackers, the entire sky was full of it. But ultimately, who is suffering? It's again we. So the children, they need to be told, or rather, we need to share those stories. Like, if you ask me about mineral water, we never used to buy mineral water. Even if you're traveling outstation, you'll carry something called surahi, which will also keep your water cold. You'll carry that with you. And in a way, it was always, it's so expensive, do I need to buy it? But today we don't think, because it's a necessity. If you want to play safe, you have to buy this water. Don't land into a situation where you also have to carry an oxygen cylinder to breathe. So that is what needs to be told to our next generation, the stories. And also one more thing, we have to look back, what kind of technologies were available? Whether you are talking of infrastructure, whether you are talking in terms of, when I talk of infrastructure, it's both buildings as well as road infrastructure and vehicles. So there again, one of the things is, we go to gym, and at least in Delhi, the culture is you pick up your car, and you go to gym, you do exercise, you again come back in car. So can't you walk? So those are the things which are fading away, and those need to be brought back, both in curricula, in school teaching. Parents should teach to their children, and they themselves should become role models. Thank you.
No, well said. Abhijit, you had a point?
Yeah, if I can just jump in now and respond to a couple of points that Vibha ma'am made. I think you've really hit the nail on the head. I feel the biggest threat to ecology at this point is entitlement, the culture of entitlement. Because we can afford to do something financially, we think we can also afford to do it ecologically, which might not be the case in all scenarios. Another thing that you spoke about was how sports infrastructure needs to be more eco-friendly. So I had read this very fascinating story about the Dutch Formula One Grand Prix. If you haven't, please do read about it. It is a Grand Prix where 300,000 fans show up at this Grand Prix and they don't get any cars. The only cars that are there in that Grand Prix are the ones that go on the racetrack. Okay, how they have done it over the last 3 years? They have tied up with the Dutch railways, so there are frequent trains running up till the circuit stop. They have 40,000 bicycle parking spots. They have buses that run on biofuel. They have this very interesting mechanism where every spectator who comes into the arena gets a token. And in exchange for that token, they can get drinks. So if you lose that token or if you lose that drinks cup, you have to pay €2. Okay? And what happens is, so people are incentivized that if somebody has left behind a token or left behind a cup, they will collect it and they will deposit it so they can get money in return. And they have also done this very interesting thing where tokens also enter a lottery by default. So people want to sort of safeguard those tokens because they think that they have a chance of winning the lottery. So I think this sort of gamification helps in manipulating fan behavior. We can't imagine right now an IPL match where there's no cars. The first thing when you go to a cricket stadium is where is the parking, right? Because people are, it's a chaos. If trying to find a parking spot, when an IPL match is going on. So I'd say I think these are the things which other teams and other stadiums and other sports can take a cue from.
Definitely, most definitely. I think that's what we'd been talking about, that how do we engage with youth to bring about this behavioral change and make it a long-term one. I will bring in Anuja over here. Dr. Dhawan explained about a lot of initiatives that could be taken at a micro level from the ecosystem of a family, which can then be amplified to institutions and then be converted into larger policy frameworks as well. So when we talk about the house as a microcosm, where do you think food choices and nutrition education comes in, and how does that shape the ecological awareness amongst young people?
Basically, I think currently our youth are fed by the social media where you are fantasize those ultra-processed food. And when I work with a student, I say that most of the students, they are into those food. I was talking to one group of a student and I asked them, how do you choose your food? And they say they basically follow their social media influencer or their role model, the celebrities who endorse certain product. Then I said, do you know how nutritious is this food? They said, we go with the trend. Like we also, when you look at it, social media in a positive way, there's, we can always educate, but in negative side, you are following the students. We talk about, we told them that you are into the wrong direction. But then I think basically currently, even not just a college student, even the young kids like my daughter sitting there, they are influenced by those, whatever they see in the social media, in the televisions, and they like to eat ultra-processed food. But then I think we have to take the social media in a positive way, and we have seen that changes among, again, our students, where we said that student can play a role through social media where they talk about the positive things. So there was a small case study done by the students where they talked about those positive and negative aspects of ultra-processed food products, a negative health benefit, and also, there are like a lot of misinformation regarding food products. So, students through their social media, through their social media page, they educated on those, and we saw a significant change among those group. So I think currently at this level, social media plays a huge role. But then going back to basic, at what you're cooking at home plays a very huge role. In Bhutan, most of the time, every time I say, we cook fresh food every day, 3 meals a day. And I think that practice should be continued. We have seen that when with urbanization, where everybody is busy, we cook the product and keep it in the freezer. We just reheat, and I think that's not really a good practice, and as a not good example to the youth as well. Like if I cook, I just reheat and give to my daughter, she will think that is the best practice. So every day I cook 3 meals a day fresh. So, and also encourage, I think, the consumption, inculcate the healthy consumption practices, fruits and vegetables. We encourage them to eat, and it starts, and overall it starts with us. So if you have to make a change, food choices, it starts with us. We educate our children. Like I said, I'm a parent, I'm a teacher, so it starts with me. I educate my daughter, I educate my student on the healthier choices. So at the end, basically, is individual choice. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, very well said. Neetu, I'll bring you over here since she mentioned children. How do you see children as acting touchstones or as the guardians of the restoration efforts, especially when it comes to forest fringe communities and schools?
Thank you. So see, like the forest fringe areas people, the people who lived in the forest, they are the guardian of the forest. So if we start the teaching process early from the childhood, how they should respect their forest, then I think it will be the strongest point, the strongest way to keep our environment clean and green. That's way we will guide them, the students, our children, to take the knowledge from their parents, from their society, and carry out through their life. Then only we can see a greener society, greener world. Thank you.
Dr. Dhawan, I'll bring you here. What helps sustain such efforts, at a community level, and how do we make them long-term rather than just as short-term projects? So how do we then start building this knowledge from the microcosms of homes and houses and young minds to a larger debate around policy, politics, investments, and make it a reality?
Well, in fact, it's quite an interesting discussion, and since I have children and grandchildren, so therefore it's something that I'm also witnessing where the changes are occurring and the role the parents can play. I'm a nature lover myself, and therefore most of my vacations, they end up in one of the national parks. And therefore my grandchildren, they have also seen many of the national parks along with me. And the debate therefore becomes, like even now, we were just planning end of the month, and we couldn't get the kind of accommodation we wanted. We only got 2 rooms in Dudhwa. So, but then everyone wants to go there. And his thrill was when this chapter was taught in the school, he practically knew everything about the national park. Now what happens is, and that's where I say parents have to play a very important role, and so are schools, are educational trips. These days, especially in elite schools, they have exchange programs with other countries. Yes, that's also important, but are we showing them our own country, our own national parks? I think that is very important. I also urge, because although everything what are all the dharmas, they teach us that you have to care for all living organisms. And that organisms essentially means even cats and dogs and stray dogs and cats and all the living organisms around you. And I personally feel if you have a pet at home, unknowingly you are teaching so many things to your children. Because
In fact, I do, and I have a very young daughter, and that sense of empathy and sharing and caring is just coming so naturally to her that, I'm amazed that how is it happening without a lot of effort being put in.
exactly. So therefore, that is what children start loving, and they know what is a sort of a real, I call it a love, because these pets, they don't ask you for anything but love. And of course, while you're talking, I have a grandson, and we have half a dozen cats. So we were quite worried before his arrival, how the cats will react. And when he came home, so for 5-10 minutes, half an hour almost, the cats were dazed. What is this new animal at home? And thereafter, they thought that child is their responsibility. So when he's sleeping, they all will be around him so that he will never fall. He actually hasn't fallen even once because cats took care of him. So that is one thing. The other is when you talk of government policies, and we are really, really working very hard, and that is, can we take these children on eco trips? And we have set up in Mukteshwar, and we bring kids. And even, I'll say, that from the corporate houses, it's so de-stressing. You bring them and say, one day, half a day, you have to spend in nursery. Soil your hands, put plants. It is so enriching for them as well, because otherwise they have no connect with the nature. So that is also very important. And another point which I wanted to mention, because we are also talking extraction to restoration. So we really, the way the policies also keep on changing many a times, because we cannot afford to be very rigid as well. There is a lot of hue and cry for every little, means we have to get environmental clearance for everything, including highway projects and so on. And it becomes a real issue. You read in activists saying 140-year plus trees acts to widen the road and so on. And that is where the well-researched papers should speak. I'm not saying tree is a tree. It's not just CO2 fixation. It's an ecosystem in itself. But somewhere you also have to see the long-term policy. With too much of emissions because of congestion on the road, you are making that entire environment so polluted that you and I won't be able to breathe. So your calculation, therefore, has to be what is going to be the overall CO2 or emission scenario on day one, after 1 year, after 2 years. And you will find in most cases, within 4 to 5 years, or rather on day one, it is equal, but after 4 to 5 years, it's positive like anything, because young trees fixes far more CO2 than old trees. It's like metabolism of ours. So therefore, what we need to come out is well-researched papers for the policy makers, how it is done. We also have to, as I said, that respect for all organisms, all plants and animals. Even if you have a small garden, few pots at home, your children will develop altogether a different way of looking at nature. The happiness it will give them to see a flower bloom is far more than taking them to any mall. So please inculcate that habit.
Absolutely. You've beautifully taken the story from the microcosm of a family to how it impacts at a later age and stage for children as well as for adults. And then eventually the observations and the quantification from here can help develop policies and frameworks for the same. I'll bring in Namge over here. Since Dr. Dhawan was talking about policies, I would like to ask you, from the lens of Bhutan, what differentiates a truly regenerative enterprise from just greenwashed extraction, like in your experience, and how does it work in Bhutan?
Greenwashing is prevalent in Bhutan because there are obviously most of the forest projects are driven by the donor. And in order to show certain figures. So they just put up, and in the end, they don't do anything. But nowadays, obviously, through nature-based solution, we are trying to create an awareness at different level. Even like recently, I just came from a group of entrepreneurs who had gathered where I gave a teaching on how to inculcate that nature-based solution into the enterprises. So now this is slowly moving. And side by side, we are also having that being included into our forestry sector also. Because we are now no more trying to do just extraction per se. Now we are really moving into restoration and regeneration. As for example, like our office through Bhutan Ecological Society has restored more than 1.3 million trees. And then through that one, we are trying to receive a carbon credit because we cannot be complacent because we claim to be a carbon negative country, but there are extractions going on. So we have to restore, regenerate. And that's why we had the policymakers also, they are like thinking of now undoing all this extraction policy also, because recently, although the timber export was banned, but recently they have opened for 2 years. So now after that 2 years, they may ban it because they wanted to move to the regenerative policy only. Thank you.
Since we have a plethora of opinions and stakeholders from, different backgrounds, you've talked about government, you've talked about food, you've talked about family and how it translates into larger ecosystems. Abhijit, do you think there should be a standard in larger organizations? We already have, a 2% CSI initiative as a norm, but do you think that there should be other norms or maybe just a given for larger private organizations especially?
Yeah, I think the first thing, before we sort of start setting targets, we need to start being more transparent we need to start measuring. I think that's the first step. Like what Vibha ma'am was saying, that we don't know, like if you ask someone what their carbon footprint is, they wouldn't know how to calculate it, right? So as an organization, we first need to start measuring stuff, and then maybe like in a few years, we can get to a point where we can start sort of benchmarking against like what is good, what is not good. You will see, it's not just organizations, right? Even when the countries met for COP30, there was no unanimity. And these guys have been doing this for the last 30 years, and still there is no consensus, because there is definitely a lot of blame shifting between, what do developed countries do, what do developing countries do. So I'm sure when organizations get to that stage, they will sort of, okay, like does Apple, if Apple has the biggest market cap, should it have the biggest responsibility of offsetting the carbon footprint, right? So I'm saying all that will come to at a later stage. But I think right now, like how we have a Fortune 500 for companies with the biggest market cap, we should have like a Fortune 500 of, or a Miss Fortune 500 of companies which have the biggest carbon emissions, right? So let's start with that blacklist, and then let's see where we get to.
Sure. To all the speakers, starting Abhijit again with you, since you were building this point.
I thought I'd spoken enough for the day, but okay.
Yeah. So if you could design that one cross-sector intervention based on your experience, combining your sector with another, bringing the discussion back to the Eastern Himalayas, like what should that be? How should different sectors come together to build these regenerative reforms?
I think if I have to take something from sports and extrapolate it to other sectors, I would say from sports, like from cricket or from football, carbon neutrality is something that we should aim for. I think that is one easily understandable thing that we can start practicing. How do we sort of reduce our CO2 emissions through these sort of socio-economic indicators. I think that's where we start, and then we extrapolate it to how other companies, like I don't know what would an equivalence be for other sectors, but like there are a lot of subject matter experts, so I'd leave it to their best judgment.
Sure. Neetu, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so my education perspective, so I think like if government, the policy maker, and the local community and the CSR group all comes together to build a policy by which actually they can work together. Now, in that thing, actually, I want to tell one thing, like now that I am working in education sector, so education department, and we are working near the forest and the forest department. So there is a clash between them. So like education says that you have to like give the education to the children, and like forest department has some rules that they have some set of boundary, we can't go beyond that. So all these things, all departments have like some rules and regulations. If all come together and like make a positive like policy, then I think through education, from the early age, we can do something for this greener world. Thank you.
Sure. Namge, what would be your remarks on the same?
I would like to quote what Albert Einstein has said, okay? The world we have created is a product of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. No problem can be solved with the same consciousness that created it. So I feel that consciousness or the transformation should be there, not just change. If you are looking at change, we may be doing a little different way, but obviously there could be a little bit behavioral change. So I think the change in value should be there. So for that to take effect, I think it should start at different levels. I think from at the family level, so you can teach as a parent, I teach to my children to share my experiences. I have been like a vegan for more than almost now 20 years. And then I don't serve meat and then those dairy products to those who come to me. Because I tell that I care for nature. And so similarly, then even for the picking up dustbins and picking up all the segregation, we can teach it. These are all the transformation which should take place at the family level and at the school level. And then those children, as they grow up, so it will be inculcated, and so they will be transformed automatically. Thank you.
Sure. Dr. Dhawan, how do you see the convergence happening across sectors?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to explain my viewpoint. If we look at Indians, I'll say sustainability is engraved in their DNA. We never used to waste things in a way, like I'll say duster was never brought. It was old cloth. And everything more or less was reused. Circular economy is a new word, but then by our grandparents, it was practiced. Now let's come to the second point, and that is if we are looking at the larger sphere and we are talking of corporates, the manufacturing units and so on. So somewhere over there, let's look into every industry doesn't have the same carbon footprint. It is different for everyone. That is where we are talking in terms of net zero. What we need to do is, the very first thing is energy efficiency. Whatever we are doing, energy, water, resource efficiency, because even water is a big resource which we are wasting today because of distorted pricing. So people don't value it, we simply waste it. And there are other things like simple thing like urea, since it's highly subsidized, farmer doesn't care for it. So what we need to do is we really need to bring out, first of all, a sort of policy that, okay, I know agriculture is a sensitive subject. I want food to be available at a price that everyone can afford it, but let me not give subsidy in urea, I'll give subsidy otherwise to the farmer, so that they use the fertilizer properly. Then comes the second concept of net zero. So therefore, if I'm emitting more, I should be able to buy credits. And that is what government has come out with, ESG reporting. So every industry, all the listed companies, we are starting with the listed companies, so they have to tell their footprint, how environment conscious they are, how are they governing it. So with that reporting, every citizen in the country can then decide whether I should buy cement from Dalmia or Ultratech or whomsoever, which is a more responsible company. So that's where I would like to go for. And that's how companies will become more responsive. So the ecosystem is changing. The regulations are being made accordingly. But more than anything else, it's the consciousness that has to come amongst all of us, that the only thing we can give to our children is a safe environment. And once we do that, profits will be secondary. So let's move in that direction.
Most definitely. Anuja, what would be your remarks on the same?
I agree with my fellow speakers. It's very important. Transformation starts within us. First, we have to change our thinking about that. Then only we can educate. And it's very important that we teach the young people from the schools. We should not wait till they reach to the college level and say about the greener world or the sustainability. We should start from the school level only. And it's very important that I feel it's very important to create awareness among the communities, not to leave any communities from this awareness. For example, in our country, there's a NGO who closely work with the communities, and I have seen the great initiatives, like for example, they take these communities for watershed management, they educate on this climate smart agriculture, and I feel that's very, very important. They work closely with all these agriculture people in collaboration with the community. So I think it's important to bring in all the agencies together. If we work in silos, I think we won't be able to achieve, and it's very important for the knowledge transfer and the technology transfer, and I think it's very important that we need to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I think today's conversation reminds us that regeneration isn't a standalone solution. It's a rethinking of how we value nature, livelihoods, and leadership. It lives in forests, farms, stadiums, classrooms, investment decisions, and cultural stories. If the Eastern Himalayas can lead this transition, it offers a powerful model, not just for India, but for the world. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to the Royal Global University for having us here. Thank you.
Before we request our delegates to leave the stage, we request you to please put up with us for a few more minutes so that we extend you a token of our gratitude. I request Dr. Anushree Borua, Head Department of Botany, to kindly felicitate our guest, Dr. Bibha Dhawan, Director General, TERI, India. Thank you for being with the 13th EHNF Forum alongside Royal Global University. Thank you, ma'am, for being a part of this significant discussion. I request Dr. Borua, Anushree Borua, to once again accord our gratitude to Madam Anuja Nair, Food Science and Technology Studies, College of Natural Resources, Royal University of Bhutan. I request our panelists to be with us on the stage. Before we leave the stage, we'll take a group photograph. I request Dr. Hirakjyoti Hajarika, Assistant Professor, Department of Library Sciences, and also editor of RGU Journal, which is a part of this significant forum. I request Dr. Hirak to kindly felicitate Mr. Abhijit Singh, Head of Operations, Rajasthan Royals. At this moment, I would also like to share with everyone that Royal Global University, through its journal, RGU Journal of Humanities and Social Sciences, has come up with a special edition on the subtracks of 13th Eastern Himalayan Naturenomics Forum, which has sought a huge response of scholarly articles from the faculty members of the university, student scholars of the university, as well as from other associated universities. I request Dr. Hirak to also felicitate Mr. Nitu Kumar Kalita, Executive Operating Officer, Assam Investment Advisory Society. We are extremely honored to have you with us, Mr. Kalita. And we owe all our gratitude to Balipara Foundation for the support, for lining up this very, very important forum for the year, and all the support that we have received from the Balipara team. I once again request Dr. Anushri Borwa to felicitate Mr. Namge Dendup, Nature-Based Solution Specialist, Bhutan Ecological Society. On behalf of Royal Global University and Balipara Foundation, once again a warm welcome to you, warm welcome to India and to our university, the Assam Royal Global University. Thank you. I request our panelists to kindly join for a photograph. I request Mr. Hirak, Dr. Hirak, to kindly felicitate our moderator for the session, Ms. Reva Malhotra, Communications Consultant. Dr. Sthiti Parnadatta, can we have you on the stage for the group photograph? Karishma, can we have you on the stage for the photograph, please? I request all our panelists to kindly join for a group photograph. I request our venue management volunteer team to kindly set the stage for the next session that's lined up. Our venue management team to kindly set the stage for the next session that's lined up. Yeah. No, no. Students seated in the last row, raise your hand. Yes, come forward. Come to the front. And the others also, if you're at the last, then come to the front. This is a chance where you need to ask questions. No one will ask you question. Okay? So be at the center stage and put in a lot of questions. Come on. Come forward. Again, the last row. Come. Walk up to the front seats. There we have kept some reserved seats for you here. Okay, moving the day forward and taking along the day forward with another parallel session going on in another venue of the university. Without further ado and taking more time, we'll start with our next session that brings into focus a very powerful and necessary shift in the sustainability landscape. It talks about gender-inclusive sustainable entrepreneurship for tomorrow. The session will be a conversation highlighting how women-led and gender-inclusive enterprises are transforming communities, strengthening local economies, and redefining the future of equitable development. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished speakers for this panel. We have with us Mr. Anuj Sharma, founder, Alcisar Impact. We have with us today as our panelist, Mr. Rathindranath Chatterjee, water management consultant, proprietor of RNC Consultancy Services. We'll also be joined very shortly from the parallel session that is going on in the first floor by Ms. Maya Tayung, Director, Likope Majuli Women Farmer Producers Company, and Ms. Arhita Khaklari, Design Associate, Likope Majuli Women Farmer Producer Company. As the moderator for this session, we have with us Reva Malhotra, once again joining us for the next panel for the day. I request our panelists to kindly take the stage. I request Mr. Anuj Sharma, founder, Alcisar Impact, to kindly take stage. Mr. Anuj Sharma is the founder of Alcisar Impact, South Asia's leading impact investing advisory firm, pioneering place-based incubation for Himalayan and frontier markets with a portfolio of 30+ social startups empowering local communities. We are also joined by Sir Rathindranath Chatterjee. Sir, welcome to the forum, sir. Mr. Chatterjee is the proprietor of RNC Consultancy Services based in Kolkata. His firm provides expertise in water management solutions, including drip irrigation systems, waste management, water treatment plants, and construction services related to water infrastructure. RNC Consultancy Services offers technical and advisory support aimed at efficient water use and sustainable resource management. I now invite Ms. Reva Malhotra to the stage so that we begin with the session. Our panelists, Ms. Arhita Khaklari and Maya Tayung, will be joining us soon once they're free from the parallel session that is winding up soon in the first floor. I request you, Reva, to take over the session and start with it.
Sure, thank you so much. Good afternoon again. We've gathered in the Eastern Himalayas, a region where forest, rivers, culture, and livelihoods are deeply intertwined, where women have long been the custodians of traditional knowledge, craft, and community economies. Yet, much of this work remains invisible, undervalued, disconnected from the markets of finance and policy. Today's conversation looks at how women-led enterprises, particularly those rooted in weaving forest-based value chains, water-linked livelihoods, and impact-driven financing, can shape a more sustainable, climate-resilient, and equitable future. We'll explore how enterprises grounded in ecology and culture can scale without losing their soul, and how access to design, markets, water security, and finance can unlock new possibilities for women and youth across rural and indigenous communities. Thank you so much for joining us today. Anuj, I would like for you to kickstart the conversation with the limited panel that we have right now, which is, how have you seen women entrepreneurship being shaped and designed in the Eastern Himalayan region? And what do you think have been the most challenging parts? Is it finance? Is it water security? Is it access to a global network? And we learn from your experience.
we are talking gender and like we need representation. We will wait for it. So if I put a overall perspective, I think more of the role model where we can see that entrepreneurship is possible is something which is hugely lacking. We are talking about. At the same time, having a safe space as well, which needs a little bit of a more larger push to have some kind of a realizable value. That is also something which we are not seeing in a overall manner. But what I can do is, just because we have to also wait for other panelists,
Sure.
otherwise it will look a gender panel with two men doing it will be very cliche. So will you mind, like there's a small video of 2 minutes if you want to play.
Sure, definitely.
One of our entrepreneurs from Ladakh, how these two women kind of defied the logic and started out first women-led organization in Ladakh, and they've raised money as well recently. And this is like one of the first of its kind in entire, I will say, North India above Delhi,
Okay.
if you ask. And they are the second only women-led and owned startup in entire Himalaya from Kashmir to Mizoram to have raised money.
Interesting.
Yes.
Please do.
Yeah, if it is possible. I'll come here.
So Hima was going to stand for the positivity in Ladakh. But the main idea was basically to promote the indigenous ingredients of Ladakh. While we were doing research, wait. पूरा बताना था क्या बताना
हाँ स्टार्टअप के बारे में
पूरा startup के बारे में बताना था. First of all, I really wanted to have my own startup actually. That was my dream from I don't know how many years.
It was also started to empower the local community, especially women farmers, and right now we have around 10 to 15 farmers with us.
And second was because I feel like Ladakh as a region has so much potential to offer to the world, and somehow we are still lacking it. So that was my way of telling the people that Ladakh has potential. Come visit, not just visit. It's just go beyond what you see. So that was the idea of having a startup. I wanted to go back to school actually and teach the children how to do farming, so that in the coming years, in the coming generation, should know how to do farming. So that is one thing that I would really like to change in Ladakh.
No matter how successful we get, we should always be, rooted to our own culture and heritage, to our own society, and carry forward whatever our ancestors have given us.
Thank you so much for joining us. We just kick-started the discussion talking about women entrepreneurship in the Eastern Himalayas, the challenges of bringing women into the entrepreneurial space, the challenges around funding, around scarcity of resources, and an access to a network which is far more diverse and global, And I think Anuj just showed a very beautiful 2-minute clip around women entrepreneurship that's happening in Ladakh, and how these people have come together to bring out a very unique indigenous concept to life with great packaging resources, and I hope access to funding as well. Yes. So yeah, Anuj, if you would like to continue and talk a little bit more about the topic.
So thank you. Now we are a little bit more inclusive, and
Yes.
it's important. So when we look back, like this video looks still have a 1 or 2 dimension of things. But if you see, when we are talking about farming, entire India, if you ask, majority of people on the ground which is doing farming is women. The same way, if I go into the household, when the cooking happens in the household, it's majority is women. But the moment we are talking about the businesses, like if it is a business, formal business, then we are talking about men. The majority of the chefs are men. So we have to first of all also address the core of things, that how we are visualizing ourselves as a society. And the second thing is that, are we valuing the women entrepreneurs in the same way as we are valuing others? So most of the time, whenever women entrepreneurs are there, we are loading them with charity. We are loading them with grants. Why? Because we are trying to not see them having the same kind of equitable growth or space as others. So in this example as well, like Nima Gusgus raised recently money at 6 crore valuation. But more than the valuation, it was also a testimony of things that they are having a power to make things happen in the same way as VC world works. We were trying to do the same thing in other geographies as well. So we did the same thing in Mizoram. First ever investment in Mizoram happened because of us. Same way Sikkim, same way in Nagaland, and some other parts of the India as well. So it's definitely possible, things are happening, but it is happening at a very slow space and manner as well. And one of the challenges, as we put it across, is majority of VC and PE money is actually, the custodians are so-called men. And we only want to support our tribe. And that is a problem that we have to address as well. So a conscious bias that is built up is dragging us all down as well. Thank you.
That's where I would like to bring in our 2 esteemed women panelists as well and take their point of view on the topic. How has your journey been? What are the learnings, and how do you see access as an issue right now?
Yeah, so thank you so much for the question. I would like to thank Balipara Foundation for giving me the opportunity to present Majuli and Lekope here. So I would like to just introduce a little bit about Lekope. So Lekope is a women's farmer producer company based in Majuli, which is the largest river island of the world. And we have more than 3,000 plus women artisans working with us and 300 plus women weavers working with us. So Lekope is an enterprise that is run by totally women, and all the boards of promoters and directors are women. So right now we are currently working in the farm and the non-farm section. So across Majuli we have 6 weaving centers and 2 mills of mustard, and all the weavers are assigned different centers where they are provided with looms which are more functional. So in traditional way, they use the pit loom that in the houses, but right now we are training them. We have young designers assigned with them. We have trainers with them who train them with the recent trends and the color theories or the modern aesthetics that are used in textiles these days. So we are training them and providing them with yarns. We are also training them in natural dyes such as onion peels and bamboo stems and hibiscus, so they can preserve their culture. So when we talk about preserving, it's very important to promote. So to promote the textiles, what we are doing is we are diversifying the product ranges. So earlier they used to make only mekhla chadars or dhotis or shirts for men, but right now we are diversifying the products into everyday wear such as stoles, cushion covers, table runners, and we are also diversifying the color ranges. We are bringing pastel colors, pastel shades, and also diversifying the designs, but keeping the cultural alive. So when we talk about slow fashion, we have to really know that it is slow and the process is really ethical and sustainable. So we have to appreciate that. And I would like to, thank all the women that are working with us in Lekope for the past 4 to 3 years. Thank you.
Great. I will bring Mr. Ratindra over here. So what do you think is the role of water when it comes to entrepreneurship? We never try to connect these two. We're talking about gender, but as an expert in this space, how do you see communities building, getting access to water as being pivotal to building an ecosystem of entrepreneurship?
Thank you very much. I'm glad you asked me this question because seeing the profile out here and I being a technocrat, it's like 2 and 2 makes 4 and designs and so on and so forth. But as I have gone through my journey in this line of water, I have found that there are certain areas where the ladies are a better choice than men. Like I have been dealing mainly with tea gardens are my main areas that I concentrate on. And here we had seen that many a times the use of water, especially even when we are doing irrigation, and we have been telling them that do not use too much of fertilizer because your soil health is going to be affected. Now that falls on deaf ears as far as the men workers are concerned. But I thought I would try and bring in the ladies, who were not allowed to do the fertigation. They were thought that fertigation is only a men's folk. So I somehow or other convinced the authorities, the manager, and I said, can we have some ladies coming in? So we selected some women workers to give us the fertigation. We said that if you use less fertilizer, your soil health will be good, it'll be good for you, it'll be good for your children, like a little differently. And we really found that there was a saving in fertilizer to the extent of about 25 to 30%. And that's a quantum saving. And the efficacy of use of these fertilizers, because we found them, it was earlier broadcasting, so it was typically manual sort of application. But then we had the sprinklers and sprinkling systems, where also the fertilizers were being pre-mixed and being given to the tea plants. So here I found them to be contributing to this much more meaningfully than the men folk. This was one area. And the second area was, as you know, the eastern zone has a lot of rainfall. And we don't tap this rainfall. It just goes into the drain and ultimately goes back into the sea. So we sort of convinced them, the ladies. I said that, in your house, if you just put up a few gutters, we will do it for you. The company will do it for you. But you have to use this water for yourself, And we told them how to purify the water. And if it's rainwater, there are certain areas you don't need to purify. It was a huge success in the sense that we used to use around 18 hours of pumping of underground water through a submersible pump to give water to all the workers. By doing rainwater harvesting and giving them 200 liters of drum per house, per one of their each labor quarter, we found that our pumping hours from 18 dropped down to around 11 and a half, which is not just saving of power, but extraction of groundwater, which is now becoming a taboo. You have to do groundwater recharge more than extraction. So these are the areas that I have thought of using the ladies in my own way, though I don't happen to specialize anything on that.
Which actually brings me to a follow-up question, like what practical water management solutions can communities at large, irrespective of gender, adopt to build climate resilient enterprises in maybe say flood, erosion, or areas which are more prone to situations like these, as we are sitting in the Eastern Himalayas right now?
Good question. I have recently been doing a bit of work on Sundarban areas, which is salinity is a big problem there, and the water level there, which we used to get sweet water at about 200 to 300 feet, now has gone down to almost 1500 feet. So the salinity has become a huge problem in that area. But mind you, the rainfall in that area is very good, but that rain, that sweet water that we get from the rains, through the rains, are wasted and goes into the saline zone. So we sort of put up this water, very basic rain trapping methods, where we trapped the water and brought it into a reservoir. Sometimes we didn't have the wherewithal to have RCC structures for those reservoirs. So what we did was we just put plastic sheets on normal ponds, and they used to use, these ladies used to use the normal pond water, which was absolutely polluted. So we said, just drop this water into this place, and we'll give you some, coagulative chemicals, which would just take care of the your bacterial contamination and all, and use this water. And we got the government to sanction them solar pumps. So we used the solar pumps to pump the water up to whatever levels where they could get water under gravity at their home through tap points. And this was especially for the villages and also for the children in schools, where we put up these sustainable water contraptions to tap this water and use the solar energy completely, no electricity power. These solar panels are cheap, not very expensive nowadays. They lift that water to the top. We have a small filtration plant, online filtration plant, so it just pumps the water up to a storage and that filter water is available for them. So that just stopped them. They used to go miles to get sweet water from a government point or wherever they felt that somebody said, here you get sweet water. So these are areas which has been a challenge, and I feel very nice of having been involved in this.
Thank you. Since you were talking about women-led enterprises and the contribution of women, Anuj, my next question comes back to you. What kind of impact financing models are best suited to support women entrepreneurs working with forest-based material or craft, as we have a live example on stage here, and climate-positive businesses?
So first of all, we have to treat them equal, right? So are we comfortable seeing women as a leader? Can you raise hands? How many of you are comfortable? Huh? I can't see many hands. So first of all, we need to be changing our mindset, right? Because if I say, I'm not going to give you money because you have kept your fixed deposit to me. So the way the credit model works in the world is, if you spend, then you have a better credit score. And if you save, you don't have a better, you have a worse credit score. That means if women are saving, it is disadvantageous in terms of the financial system. So that kind of system is not very, I will say, equitable. It is one-sided. Second, how you're defining women entrepreneurship in the global world is also one-sided. So I will tell you the definition of women entrepreneurship in one of the biggest think tank of the world. They say 51% women ownership, or 30% women leadership, or 30% women participation in the team members, or 30% women beneficiaries, or 30% indirect women beneficiary. Now, do you have intentions to see women as a leader? No. So when we are talking on finance, that same bias comes in. So for us to kind of get into that level, I'm not getting into a charity mindset. I'm not saying that I have to give grants and then I need to make them fill 100-page report to justify the grant which is lesser than the report writing cost. So that is completely not something which is helping the cause that we are talking about. And majority time what happens is the CSR funding when it comes, 100 rupees out of that 80 rupees is only for documentation. 20 rupees goes to the beneficiary. That's not again helpful. So what we are seeing is some kind of a blending of finance options are coming in, where we are talking risk capital and philanthropic capital coming together. So that's one. Second is guarantee structures are there. So in the similar like startup which I was showing you, there's another startup in Sikkim which we actually backed. In that, the risk investor was a little bit averse in terms of investing in a women. What we said is, why not we take first loss guarantee? As Alsi said, Impact, we did that. The moment we initiated that, there was a higher pool of capital available to the women entrepreneurs. So that kind of innovation can happen, but it all starts with a very simple thing. Are we comfortable seeing women as leaders of an organization or as a society? Yes.
Interesting viewpoint, which brings me to my next question for you. You represent a younger generation working at the intersection of tradition, contemporary design, right? How do you make your products relevant to a local as well as a global audience? I'm sure that might require a lot of creativity, innovation, you know, learning, a huge learning curve as well.
Thank you so much for the question. So yeah, it is hard to, you know, market your product globally. So, and especially when you are coming from a remote place such as Majuli. So as I mentioned earlier, so they were only working with traditional textiles such as mekhela chadars and, you know, stalls or shawls like this. So right now we are focusing on diversifying the products into daily wear such as stoles, scarves and saris also, and we are reimagining the traditional motifs, how we can reimagine them into different products such as stoles, and also we are diversifying the product ranges and the color ranges as well, and also this is very important to promote the craft. So as we say that every motif tells a story. So we are trying to depict that through our products. So we have launched both shirts where we tell the story of the rivers of the Majuli. So that is a story. So a consumer would like to be connected with the weavers. Then only they would like to purchase the product. So the connectivity is very important. So yeah.
Any case studies that you would like to share with us regarding this?
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
মই আগতে যেতিয়া অসমীয়াতে কওঁ মই হিন্দী नहीं आती.
Okay, I will not understand it, but if you have a translator, yes, please.
মই আগতে যেতিয়া লেকপাত জইন কৰা নাছিলোঁ তেতিয়া মই আত্মসহায়ক গোটত কাম কৰিছিলোঁ. এনেকৈ আত্মসহায়ক গোটত কাম কৰিহে মোক আয়াং ক্লাছ 10 মই লগ পাইছিলোঁ. লগ পাই মোক আচাৰ ট্ৰেইনিং দিয়াইছিলে. আচাৰ ট্ৰেইনিং দি মই আচাৰখিনি ঘৰতে প্ৰডাক্ট কৰিবলৈ আৰম্ভ কৰিলোঁ. ইয়াৰ পাছতে প্ৰডাক্ট কৰিলোঁ হয়, কিন্তু মাৰ্কেটিংটো মই পোৱা নাছিলোঁ, বজাৰটো পোৱা নাছিলোঁ. সেইকাৰণে মই আমাৰ গাঁৱৰে এখন সাপ্তাহিক বজাৰ আছিলে, এই সাপ্তাহিক বজাৰতে মই আচাৰখিনি বিক্ৰী কৰিবলৈ আৰম্ভ কৰিলোঁ. যিহেতু মোৰ ল'ৰা ছোৱালী পঢ়া আছে আৰু মানুহজনেতো খেতি কৰে, অকলে ঘৰখন চলাব নোৱাৰে, সেইকাৰণে মই কিবা এটা কৰিব পাৰিম নেকি বুলি ভাবি এইখিনি আগবাঢ়ি আহিলোঁ. তাৰপিছত আৰু আংক্লাষ্টক লগ পাই মোক লেকপাৰ খোলা হ'ল. লেকপাত আমাৰ ডাইৰেক্টৰ 5গৰাকী আৰু প্ৰমোটাৰ 5গৰাকী আছে. এইখিনি আগবাঢ়ি ইমানখিনিলৈকে কৰি আছোঁ আৰু 3000 মহিলাৰ লগতে কাম কৰি আছোঁ. 300জনী শিপিনীৰ লগত কাম কৰি আছোঁ.
Could you help me summarize that?
So Mayaba is one of our directors of Lekope. As she shared her journey that earlier she used to make achars, and Lekope helped her, give them the marketing space to her. She branded, Lekope branded her achars and sold them globally. And also Mayaba is one of the members who have been trained by Lekope, and she was also a part of our food processing training, and all her the harvesting products and the achars that they make in home, the pitha, the laru, the patties, so they trained her in this and gave them a space to market her product globally.
Very interesting, and this is exactly what we're talking about at Nature Economics Forum, where traditional knowledge is being brought together without any compromise and is able to create that sort of ecosystem of livelihoods and confidence in women and gendered communities in the region as well. I would like to ask Mr. Ratindra again, how do you see communities and ecosystems evolving with different resources being accessible to them or not? So have you come across any case studies where a community has thrived because it had access to simple resources like water, electricity, things of that sort, or you've seen them falter due to the lack of it?
I can tell you about the Darjeeling Hills, where I used to find the workers. Again, the springs that originate from the top used to get contaminated, and they used to know in their own way how the contamination is happening, but they never used to pinpoint where the contamination is actually happening. They know that I'm getting contaminated water, but the spring above a certain point is clean, and somewhere in between there is this contamination happening. So I sort of helped them in assessing that place where the contamination was happening, and then got them to take that stream water above that contamination point to a certain point from where they can think of a way of giving it to others, sharing with others. So that's where I thought of doing the work with this, and I found them, sort of reciprocating the interest in that, and they were hard taskmasters as far as monitoring who to get and how much to get. So that I thought helped everybody, and they did not have to go long distances to get that water, and they now have access to clean water. So this got replicated in many of the tea gardens, this model per se, in different ways with some variations. They got replicated. So that was a satisfaction that people could get access to clean water in the hills.
Interesting. Anuj, any anecdotes around nature economics, as we've been talking about livelihoods being created at the ground level in tandem with access to them, and you represent the funding part here. So how do you think that an investor's decision are shaped based upon what monetary value are they deriving out of these resources, and what kind of ecosystems are they able to create which are not very short term but last for a longer period of time, help them multiply the effect or the impact that they want to create through those funds?
So let me give a very honest reply here. First of all, if I'm an investor, I don't care on nature. I may be talking too much, but I still go to Delhi. I still will breathe the polluted air, and then I will brag around my big house, which is millions of dollars, which is technically, I can't step out. So that is the mental block that we have. Now, if we have to talk about how to preserve nature, if I'm having money, I think I can go to different places. If I don't have clean water here, I can buy the clean water. That's the kind of a thing that I'm kind of bypassing the so-called nature or conservation side. But the same thing, indigenous people are the people who are doing everything. They are trying to save the rivers, they are trying to save the forest, they are trying to save the culture. And at the same time, they are also the people who have the least economic resources. And that's where like we have started out something at Al-Sisa, which now has become a path-breaking study in IIM, so now Harvard is also talking. It's called Lighthouse Place-Based Investing. So we only back a local with a conscious bias. So we say, okay, everybody's saying that investing is an unbiased decision, but still Northeast has never got investments. So why not we have a conscious bias? That I'm saying I'm in Assam, so I will only back a Assamese. If I'm in Nagaland, I will only back a Naga. If I'm in Sikkim, I will only back a Sikkimese. Now, as in the investing world, they will say this is a little bit crazy thing and you are never going to succeed. But it's been 8 years, we have 35 startups, 0 has closed down. Why? Because if I back a community or a person from that community, the community comes and start backing them. So there's one boy who's primarily from a Dalit community in Northeast, and obviously first is Northeast, then Dalit, multiplying the complexities. And this guy started out something in food, obviously, which is again a difficult segment. And he had shortage of money in terms of procuring the supplies. So the entire 500 people, farmers of that village came to give him products free. Why? Because you are my kid. I'm going to give you the product. Whenever you are able to sell it, you can give it back to us, but we are not in hurry. You are doing something which is nobody has done. You are doing the market linkages. You are doing some kind of a extraordinary thing to help us elevate out from so-called abject resource deprived position. So that kind of things if we talk about, we have to also see how we are valuing nature. And in that whole thing, it is our duty as well, like if I say investing community or people coming from the cities, that we have better listening power of the communities here. So do we have patience to listen to them? Now, if somebody doesn't know English, I need to find a way to have some kind of way to communicate together, or different ways to transcend the kind of emotional understanding of the cultures or the nature as well. So that's what we are trying to build in, yeah.
Absolutely. This is where I would like to bring you in again, since you have had so much experience working with rural communities. What sort of challenges do you feel are very pressing right now? What are the demands of such communities? Anush talked about different biases. You're working on ground, so could you elaborate and share your experiences of working with these biases, against these biases, and finding a way through all of them and still succeeding?
অসুবিধাটো মোৰ গাঁৱৰ মহিলাসকলৰ লগত কেতিয়াবা অসুবিধা হয়। ইহঁতে অলপতে কথাবিলাক বুজি নাপায় আৰু ইহঁতক আমি মিটিঙলৈ মাতিলেও ইহঁতে আহিবলৈ হেৰি কৰে, আহিব নোখোজে। হ'লেও আমি ইহঁতৰ ঘৰলৈ গৈ গাঁৱলৈ গৈ আমি ইহঁতৰ লগত মিটিং কৰোঁ। মিটিং কৰি ইহঁতৰ যিবিলাক প্ৰডাক্ট হয় এই প্ৰডাক্টখিনি আনি পেলাই আমি তাতে বিক্ৰী কৰা হয়। আমাৰ যেতিয়া অসুবিধা হয়, আমাৰ যেতিয়া পানীৰ হয়, যেতিয়া মাজুলীটো আমাৰ বাৰিষা হয়, তাতে পানী বেছি হয়, তেতিয়া আমাৰ খেতি বাতি বেছি নষ্ট হয়। সেইখিনিত আমাৰ বহুত অসুবিধাৰ সন্মুখীন হয়। যেনেকৈ মনটো ভাবোঁ তেনেকৈ আমি কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ। সেইখিনি অসুবিধা আমাৰ লগত আছে। সেয়াই।
Mayabai is addressing a very important point here. So as we all know that Majuli is a flood affected area, and the weavers, they are very dependent on seasonal sales. So when they call out the weavers for meetings and stuff, so they're very confused of what is the purpose of this meeting. So why are they contacting us? Why are they writing our names? Because they're not very used to these things. So again, they're very dependent on seasonal sales only. So which is one very important, point for them.
Also, women going out and working in these affected areas, how is it taken by the families? Are they biased towards it? Do they oppose it? How does it work as an ecosystem? And does it encourage even more women to come out and work?
So, Lekope, again, the word means together. So, it is a collective for all the women out there to come out in a space where they share their stories, their, difficulties, their happiness. So, earlier, when we used to go for onboarding, so the people would be very confused. So, why are you writing our names? Why do you need our documents? So, the male members of the family were really concerned about this because the women are also part of the farming community, so they are farmers also, and we have season there, so they are mostly occupied in the farms. So they were very concerned about the household works, but then again, when some of the women started coming out of their safe space, and they started earning, and they started earning for their family, they started providing for their daughters, for their husbands as well. So then the point of view kind of changed towards the thing. Yeah.
Very interesting, I would say, what you're sharing as on-ground insights and how it's developing an ecosystem of working women, quote unquote. We're always working but never credited. I would like to open up the panel and everyone's comment on what would a truly gender-inclusive, forest-positive, climate-resilient entrepreneurship ecosystem in Eastern Himalayas look like in 5 to 10 years from now? And what is that one change we must prioritize to get there? We would start with Anuj. Yeah.
So the first important thing, if I really wish, and if it happens, is like in the next 5 to 10 years is politically, economically, and socially, we need some role models which are primarily led by women. So we have 8 states, and this is the women, this is very clearly a geography where women have the best ecosystem in terms of working, in terms of leadership and others. But whenever it gets to the next level, we don't have any political representation as well. We don't have economic representation, and social as well. So in next 5 to 10 years, if we can see more leaders coming in that, that will be the first wish list. Yes.
This gender inclusiveness and sustainability, my just one more experience I would like to share, which would answer the question of yours, is in Nepal, for example, in the tea industry again. There, the ladies actually take a dominant role even in the field activities. But there was one particular area in the tea industry which used to be a male-dominated operation. That is the pruning of the tea bushes. Because it is a little, you need strength to actually cut the bushes. So it was always thought of as a, there was a sort of agitation in one of these gardens where the ladies came out and said, why would you not give it to us? There's a labor shortage. The men folk are going out of the, the gardens, tea gardens. Why would you not try us in doing it? 2 areas. One was the plucking, the machine plucking, and the other was the pruning of the tea bushes. In both the areas, they said, you try us and then take a call, and which they really excelled. And the quality of pruning now in Nepal are better by the women workers than the male workers. And it's been accepted by the male workers also.
Yeah, I would like to add one quote by one of our weavers. So she shares that the loom is like her second home. So where when she weaves, she releases the stress that she has. So I would like to request everyone that they should give the woman a safe space in their homes, as well as a safe space where they can show their talent and rise globally. Yeah.
মহিলাৰখিনি বৰ্তমান আমি কৰি আছোঁ মহিলাৰ লগতে কাম আৰু গাঁৱৰ মহিলাসকলক আৰু আগুৱাই লৈ যাবলৈ আৰু চেষ্টা কৰি আছোঁ। বৰ্তমানে চেষ্টা কৰি আছোঁ, চেষ্টা কৰি যাম আৰু ভৱিষ্যতেও যিমান পাৰোঁ কৰি যাম মাজুলীৰ মহিলাসকলক অকণমান আগুৱাই নিবৰ কাৰণে।
Thank you so much. As we wrap up today's discussion reminds us that sustainable entrepreneurship has never been about products or profits. It's about people, place, and purpose. We've heard how women-led collectives anchor local economies, how forest, water are not just resources, but living ecosystems that sustain enterprises, how design, finance, and partnership can either enable or constrain inclusive growth. Thank you everyone for joining us and staying until so late in the evening. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Riva. But before we leave our panelists, we'd like to extend our warmest regard and gratitude to Mr. Ratindranath Chatterjee, sir, water management consultant, proprietor of RNC Consultancy Services. May I request Dr. Anisha Bora to kindly felicitate Mr. Ratindranath Chatterjee, sir, with a Fulam Gamusa and a token of our reverence. We present to you a facade of the university, sir, in the form of a memento and a sapling signifying the naturenomics theme, adding on to the green cover of the earth. I request all our panelists to kindly join for a group photograph. I request Mr. Utpal Kanta, Director, Growth and Strategy, to kindly join us on the stage for the group photograph. Sir. I request Dr. Anisha Bora to kindly join for the group photograph. Thank you to all our panelists for illuminating how gender-inclusive entrepreneurship is reshaping sustainable development across communities. With this, we conclude the session for today and bring day one of the 13th Eastern Himalayan Naturenomics Forum to a close. A heartfelt thank you to all our speakers, partners, delegates, students, and community representatives for your insights, energy, and engagement throughout the day. But before we call the day an end, we would like to have a group photograph with all the paper contributors, with all the scholars who had contributed towards the journal, the special edition on the journal on the stage. And I'd request the editor of the Royal Global University Journal of Humanities and Social Sciences to kindly join on the stage for the certificate distribution. The journal is an attempt to collate and to bring to one conclusive stance all the thoughts, scholarly thoughts that are put forward by the academia, the industry, and everyone who is compassionate about our ecosystem, about our contribution to the ecology and the environment. I request Dr. Hirak Jyoti Hazarika to kindly come up to the podium and share a few words, give an insight into the journal and the details about this special edition before we hand over the certificates to other contributors. Okay.
Good evening, everyone, one and all present here in the hall. Uh, First of all, I would like to extend my heartiest gratitude to Balipura Foundation for giving opportunity to me to publish a special edition on sustainability and social entrepreneurship. This is a journal which is published by the Assam Royal Global University, and the name is Arjo Journal of Social Science and Research. The ISSN number is 30493366, which is indexed in Google Scholar, Dimension, ICI, Indian Citation Index, and various other reputed databases. So now, this is a special edition. There will be 2 special editions. First will be published by end of the December month, and next issue will be published 1st of January. First one will be volume 1, issue number 4, and second one will be volume 2, issue number 1. So now I would like to hand over certificate to the author who contributed for the special edition, Upasana Setri, if she presented, madam. Next, Devojit Sahu. I request Devojit Sahu to come on the decks. Yes. Yeah, Devojit Sahu.
Since we have less time and we
Please
are
come,
winding up the
please
day
come.
as well, so we'll just take the